Hey everyone, Romel here, and I'm going to share a few updates around sim racing. I wanted to show you a few of the upgrades I've made since the Logitech G29 video, why I kind of lost focus when it came to sim racing both on Twitch and YouTube, as well as what's to come in the future. If you guys haven't seen my Logitech G29 video, I'll have that linked up here. This is what got me started in sim racing, and it's by far the best video that I've put out on this channel. Nearly 500,000 of you have watched that video, and hopefully it sent some of you down a path of sim racing like it has for me. And yes, I do know that a Formula 1 car does indeed have 8 gears. When I was recording that video, I was shuffling between games trying to get footage, and I think I just got confused and brain farted. I promise I am a little bit better now than I was at the time, and hopefully I can show you guys that in the near future. But yeah, I was really into sim racing around the same time that I put out that video. I would race almost every single day, whether it was iRacing, F1 2019, trying out Assetto Corsa, and all the other games that interested me. I wasn't very good, but it was something I was determined to get better at, so I really did my best to stick to it, try to learn and get better. One thing that really did help me was Twitch and Twitch chat. While I was learning, a good number of people would jump into chat, give me pointers, how to approach corners, how to drive better, and just overall racecraft and just about racing in general. I really found that very useful, as I felt like there were a lot of people trying to help me and trying to help me get better, and it gave me direction and it gave me a way to figure out what I could focus on rather than just going at it blindly and trying to race without really having a way to get better. Not only did I get advice on how to drive better and race better, there was also a lot of gear talk that went on. A lot of people would talk about the gear that they were using, what I could upgrade from the Logitech G29, and all that other stuff. At the time, the Logitech G29 was probably the most I've ever spent on a gaming peripheral. That's a little bit different now since I am into custom mechanical keyboards, but if you looked at any upgrades beyond the entry-level Thrustmaster or Logitech, it was kind of an eye-opener. For a set of load cell pedals, which were the only budget-friendly ones besides modding the G29, you're looking at about $320 Canadian after shipping and duties and all of that stuff. So it was kind of a tough pill to swallow, but the more chat talked about it and the more research I did, I was convinced that the load cell would definitely help me get more consistent and in turn make me a little bit faster. Like the name implies, it does use a load cell rather than a potentiometer, so when you are getting used to the braking zones and the brake pressure, you're not going by the distance traveled of the wheel, but rather than the pressure. And it's a lot easier to hit the same pressure multiple times than go a certain distance like for the Logitech G29 pedals. So the Fanatec CSL Elite load cell was the first upgrade that I ordered, and it just so happened that someone local also joined my chat and offered me a pretty good deal on the Fanatec CSW 1.0 and a Formula Black wheel. I could not say no to this offer. It was a really good deal. A big shout out to Coalescence for hooking me up. And since he was local, he pretty much dropped it off the next day, so this was technically the first upgrade that I got. I honestly wasn't planning on upgrading my wheelbase just because I wanted to start off with the load cell, get used to that, and then decide on the wheelbase after. The Logitech G29, even though it was gear driven, I felt like, and from my experience, it was good enough to get a general feel of the car. I felt I would get the most improvement out of load cell pedals. When I got the CSW 1.0, even before plugging it in, you can tell that there is a big difference in quality. The construction of the CSW 1.0 is mostly metal when you compare it to Logitech G29. It's mostly plastic. The Logitech G29 definitely does feel like a toy in comparison. This is one sturdy piece of equipment, and it feels like it's well made, it's solid, it's very heavy, when you compare it to each other. The other thing is that the CSW 1.0 is a belt-driven force feedback system as opposed to Logitech's gear-driven system. It is a lot smoother. It offers 4.1 Newton meters worth of torque as opposed to Logitech's 2.1 Newton meters. It's not necessarily the force that's the biggest difference, it's just the smoothness of the force feedback. Like I mentioned in my Logitech G29 review, it does feel a little notchy when you do use the gear-driven system, but with the CSW 1.0, it's very smooth. It feels great. I could definitely tell the difference between the force feedback right away. It was a lot smoother. I could feel the car a little bit better, and I could feel the understeer and oversteer and try to make my corrections a little bit sooner than I did on the Logitech G29. And my mind was honestly blown away, and I couldn't imagine anything better. But I do know that there definitely is a lot better, as I'll go over in this video a little later. But yeah, at the time I was blown away and I really enjoyed it. Everything just felt better when I was using the CSW 1.0 wheelbase. It felt more immersive, and the big thing that I did like was I had the Formula style wheel, so it really felt awesome driving around in a Formula 1 car using this Formula wheel. And I also ended up getting the BMW GT2 rim because I wanted to get into oval and try drifting, and I needed a round rim for that as opposed to this Formula style. And yeah, that was the first upgrade that I got, was the wheelbase, the Formula Black, and later on the GT2 wheel. The biggest drawback with this was that it was indeed heavy, and when I mounted it on my desk, it would shake my whole desk with the force feedback. Everything just shook, and I couldn't really use it without being afraid that my monitors would fall over, because it was mounted up on a monitor arm and necessarily wasn't the greatest. The desk was an IKEA desk, so the quality wasn't there as well. And I eventually moved my PC from the desk to the floor because I was scared of all the shaking it was doing. I didn't necessarily have any hard drives in it, but I was just worried that all of that excessive shaking might damage the computer. This also got me looking into wheel stands, and I'll get to that a little later on. Shortly after I got the wheelbase, the Fanatec CSL Elites came in the mail, and I have to admit that these were definitely the best upgrade that I've made by far. The wheel made sim racing feel a lot more immersive when it came to like using the wheel, getting the feedback while I was driving, but in terms of being more consistent and getting better lap times and being a little bit more confident when I approached the braking zones, I felt like the load cell did make the biggest difference. Everything that everyone told me about the pressure and not having to use a potentiometer, being able to be more consistent, was true. It did take me a little bit to get used to the load cell because it does feel different when you compare it to the Logitech G29. The construction on the CSL Elites are also all metal. And yeah, everything just felt really great about them. And again, I couldn't imagine what it would feel like to get to the next level. And a lot of the time when it comes to sim racing, you do hit a point where there are diminishing returns, and I felt like I was in a good spot. I really like my wheelbase and I really like the pedals, and the only thing that was holding me back was the ergonomics as well as getting set up. With the Logitech G29, I was able to just pop that thing on my desk, put the pedals. I didn't really have to worry too much since the force feedback wasn't high enough to shake my whole desk. But with the CSW 1.0, that thing was heavy. Getting it mounted on my desk, getting it off was pretty inconvenient. I had to shuffle a lot of things, get things out of the way, and then I couldn't just leave it on my desk because I needed to use my desk for work. And like I said, I ended up ordering a GT Omega wheel stand because I thought that it would make things a little bit easier. I'd be able to tuck things away when I'm done. If you guys haven't seen my setup tour videos, I'll have them here as well, but the room I was playing in was a 6 foot by 6 foot square feet den, and there was practically no space in there. I had my desk, a storage shelf thing and a bookshelf behind me, and that was basically it. When the GT Omega was in there, it was impossible to move around. I basically had to either get that out the door, which made it hard to get in and out, and I had to move my chair. I had to like carry the chair, shuffle it around, and it just became painful to sim race and set up. I really thought that the wheel stand would make things a little bit easier, but it felt like it made things a little bit more challenging and cumbersome and more cramped. And at the same time this was all happening, I ended up losing my job, so I had to focus on trying for interviews and all of that stuff as well. So a lot of things happened around the same time, and I ended up folding down the wheel stand, just placing it under my desk so I could focus. And yeah, as soon as I got a job, Valorant beta was released. If you guys are new to this channel as well, I am really into competitive shooters. I played a lot of CSGO, CS 1.6, CSOR, CSGO, and then Valorant when it came out, and that's kind of where all my focus went. I did try to race every now and then, but every time I tried to set it up or get it running, I was reminded by how much work it was. And I know I hate to admit it, but I am probably one of the most lazy people that you'll find. So I'd prefer to be able to just go, and Valorant and any other game was easier to play because I could just go, especially after a long day and I just wanted to get a couple hours in or start my stream. I didn't want to be bothered having to set this up, move things around, move my chair out, move my chair back in, get the wheel stand up and running. That was kind of how I lost focus. But sim racing was always in the back of my mind, especially with the Formula 1 season happening. I tried to watch as many races as possible. I was still very into it. I would watch streams every now and then, look at the iRacing updates, but I just didn't race at all. At the end of 2020, my wife and I knew that we were gonna get a new place, and I had to make sure that the space that I had would fit a rig, and that's why this is there now. Is I got a rig, I got an ultra-wide monitor, so being able to race is very easy. All I have to do is move this ultra-wide monitor over, jump into the rig, and then I'm off. I don't have to worry about setting up a wheel stand. I don't have to worry about making sure my chair is not moving. I just hop in and go. And yeah, that really opened my eyes, and I felt like the sim racing bug bit me again. So I decided to look into upgrades, and I will be upgrading all of my gear. If you guys follow me on Instagram or TikTok, I'll have little teasers here and there, but it will be a direct drive, a newer load cell, and a Formula rim. If you guys want to see all of that come together, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for all of your support so far. I do really want to continue pushing out sim racing content because it is something that I enjoy. I'm not very good at it. I don't have a background in racing, so everything is new to me. And hopefully that perspective is valuable to you and gives you an idea of what it's like to upgrade your gear or use this gear from someone that's not that good. Hopefully I do get better. I am going to keep at it. I'm going to keep practicing, and hopefully I'll be streaming on Twitch every now and then again. My Twitch is twitch.tv/RomelDris. I will try to stream at least once or twice a week, whether it be sim racing, Valorant, or keyboards. I will do my best to keep a more consistent schedule. But yeah, those are my updates. I am kind of back into sim racing, so I'll have more of that content out. Hopefully next week. The upgrades are starting to trickle in. I will be doing a video on the advanced sim racing ASR 3 and my thoughts on it, the setup, and I will also be doing a review on this monitor, both on sim racing, content creation, and all of that. So yeah, again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content. I'll catch you guys on the next one.